Hello folks, welcome to the Edupedia world and I am Abhinay Gupta. Today again we'll continue with the topic, the appointment and qualification of directors. In our immediately preceding lecture, we had discussed the topic, the section 152 subsection 6 and subsection 7, the rotational and non-rotational directors. I hope the provisions of the section is very clear with you because today in the lecture we'll be discussing about some of the past year questions that have been asked from that topic. As I have already informed you, this is one of the most important topic in the chapter because it has been asked several times, like in the past 10 years if you consider, you have been asked this question for 7 to 8 times already, right? And over here you will be getting numerical questions too, like you will have to actually calculate the number of rotational directors, the number of retiring directors, and also answer some of the basic provisions of the question. Right, so the entire section 152 subsection 6 and 7 has to be in grip in order to be able to answer the question in the entirety, right? So we'll just devote 2 minutes to have a quick revision of the provisions of the section so that when we start the questions would get into your brains, right? So what are rotational directors? The directors who are retired, who are liable to retirement based on the rotation system. Right, and the limitation would be the minimum number of rotational director would have to be not less than 2/3 of the total number of directors, and total number of directors would not include independent directors and nominee directors, but yeah, additional directors, small shareholder directors, all these directors would be included in the total number of directors, right? And then the other remaining directors would be non-rotational directors. Then the limit of 2/3 could also be extended by the provision in the article. If article says so, it would be extended, right? Then out of this rotational director, you would have 1/3 directors who are liable to retirement at the annual general meeting of the company, right? And if there is a tie for the retirement, it would be the tie would be broken by referring to the agreement between the directors, or if there is no agreement or in the absence of the agreement, it would be done by draw of lot method. And whatever is the result, that would be binding on them, right? And the directors would be retiring at the AGM as we have discussed, and if the AGM is not held on time, right, they would be retiring on the last due date when the AGM was supposed to be held. And if the AGM is held, right, and they are retired, but their reappointment will also have to be done in the same AGM, or appointment of some other director as per section 160 will also have to be done in the same annual general meeting. And if it is not completed, or if the appointment is not done in the same annual general meeting, it would be done in the adjourned annual general meeting if it is not expressly provided not to fill the vacancy, right? And the adjourned annual general meeting would be held on the same day, same time, next week if it's a public holiday, then the consecutive or the next continuing day, that is not a public holiday, right? And in the adjourned annual general meeting, again, if the vacancy is not fulfilled, the retiring directors would be reappointed. Right? Again, there is a condition if they do not expressly provide that they would not fill the vacancy in the annual general meeting, in the adjourned annual general meeting. Right? So that was basically the provision. We have just taken 2 minutes for that. Now we would go on to see the various questions in the examination and discuss the key elements into the question, the twist into the questions. So the first section, the first question that we will be discussing would be from the CA final attempt in November 1995. So in November 1995, you had a question which was actually a very simple question, but you will have to focus on the way for writing the answer of that question, right? As per the question, you were given that the company has 5 directors and you were simply asked how many are supposed to retire, right? So the question specified that you had just 5 directors. You had been given no information about the rotational, non-rotational, or the type of directors they are. Right? So in that situation, what you initially do is first you will have to write the provision of the act, provision of section 152 subsection 6 and 7, that not less than 2/3 of the total number of directors would be rotational, and out of them 1/3 would retire at the annual general meeting. So you will have to nicely write the entire provision, right? And then you will have to say that considering 5 to be the total number of directors, we assume 5 are total number of directors, and hence the rotational directors would be 2/3. Rounded up, that would come up to 4. And on the basis of 4, you will solve the entire answer. You will give the answer, right? And out of 4, 1/3 would retire, and that would be rounding up to the nearest integer, that is 1, right? And so the one director would be eligible for retirement and then reappointment. Or some other director as per section 160 would be reappointed. On the other hand, you will also have to give another answer with another assumption that we assume all 5 to be rotational directors. So in that case, again you will have to show the basic calculation and decide as to who are the retiring directors, right? So either you can go for this or you can go for any one of them if you have any time constraint, and specify that we are writing this answer taking this as an assumption, right? So unless and until you write the assumption, you may get the question wrong. The institute may not give you the marks, right? So you will have to be very careful while writing your answer as to what is the question asking, and if you find that any assumption is missing in the question, please give it there by your own assumption by writing a statement for the same, right? Next, you had a question in CA final May 1998, and in May 1998 you were asked about the adjourned annual general meeting, right? The case was given where the annual general meeting was adjourned, and in the annual general meeting that has been adjourned, the directors were not reappointed, or there was no appointment of directors. So the question asked that is it possible for the retiring directors to continue into the office beyond the time of annual general meeting if the general meeting is adjourned, right? So in the case the annual general meeting was adjourned due to the disturbance in the meeting, so there was no provisions being enacted, like no director was retired, no director had retired, and no reappointment or appointment of some other direction had taken place, and the meeting was adjourned for the next week, same day, right? So in that case, the question asked whether the directors would continue to be in the office. So first we'll write the provisions of the section again, right, as to how many directors are supposed to retire and what is the provision and when, like in the annual general meeting. And then we write that yes, since the directors did not default in holding the annual general meeting, the general meeting was held, right? So they are liable to retire in that general meeting, but their retirement process was not completed. That means the meeting was adjourned because of some disturbance. So they will continue to hold the office until the next until the adjourned meeting is held, and then the decision would be taken in the adjourned annual general meeting, and accordingly they would retire, and if they are reappointed, they would again continue to be in the office, right? And then you will also have to write all the provisions relating to which your retirement or your reappointment would be taken forward. So to conclude in this question, the only trick that you had is that the directors would not retire until the adjourned annual general meeting is held, because they did not default the annual general meeting. If you remember, we talked about the provision that they would be holding the office until the annual general meeting, and if annual general meeting is not held, up to the last date when it was supposed to be held. But in this question it was held, but then it was disturbed. So the directors are not at default, they are not at fault over here, right? They did validly hold the meeting, but it was not successful, right? So they would continue to be in their position until the adjourned annual general meeting is held. So the next, so I hope this question is very clear with you. We move on to the next attempt question, which was CA final November 2002. So basically November 2002, you had two questions from this particular section. One was relating to the retirement of the rotational director, like you had been given the total number of directors, the total number of rotational directors, and you have to decide as to who would retire, how many of them would retire. And the other was for computation of the number of non-rotational directors and the directors liable to retire by rotation. You had to compute entire thing from the initial total number of director part, right? So in the first question that you had been asked, the question says you had 6 directors, rotational directors, and you need to decide as to who would retire. And you know now how to write the answer. You will first have to write the entire provision, and then you would say that as per the provision 1/3 would have to retire, and then you will calculate 1/3 of 6, that is 2, and 2 would retire. That is as simple as that. It was a simple question. And now you go on to the next question. Over there you had been given in the question that the total number of directors were 11 directors, right? But then the question also had one more thing to ask, that they also proposed to make the managing director and the whole-time director as directors not liable to retire by rotation. Now can they do that? So in the question, if you have 11 directors, right, and then you retire 2/3 among them, then that would come up to 7.33, so rounded up to 8. So you have 3 directors who could be nominated as non-rotational directors. So obviously you can in that 3 directors, you can have the managing director and the whole-time director as non-rotational director. So what was proposed by the company could be validly applied, right? And then you will have to write everything that we had 8 directors as rotational director, and then out of that again 1/3 would retire, and that would come up to 2.67 rounded around to 3. So 3 directors would be eligible for retirement in the annual general meeting. So the basic trick in the question was that could hold you back in the examination was a small trick which was nothing different, nothing difficult, but was new to you. Right? The question asking about the appointment of managing director and non-rotational and whole-time director as non-rotational director. So can they do that? Obviously they can do that because they can at any point of time keep 3 non-rotational directors, and these 2 could be adjusted between that. Right? And you know basically how to write the answers by now. Next question you had in CA final May 2003. So in 2003 you were asked about the provision, right, where the director retiring by rotation shall be deemed to be reappointed even though no such appointment has been made, right? So what are the situations when that director would be considered to be reappointed? So we have already discussed that. So when will a director be liable to reappointment even though there is no specific provision for the same, or even though he is not expressly reappointed? So that would be when, for example, if you hold an annual general meeting and over there the director is not reappointed and you have not expressly provided not to reappoint the directors. So the annual general meeting would be adjourned, and in the adjourned annual general meeting you will have to reappoint a director. Over there also, if you are not able to reappoint a director and you have not expressly provided that you will not be reappointing the director, then the directors who were liable to retire will be deemed to be reappointed, because you will have to have a director into the board, right? Unless and until you expressly provide that you will not fill up the vacancy, these directors would be there on the board. Right? So if you expressly provide that you will not have directors on the board, then they would not be liable to reappointment, and that deeming fiction would not attract to them. Right? So this is the situation where the directors who are retiring by rotation would be deemed to be reappointed. Right? And you know how to split the answer, how to write it into the various parts. First you will have to write the provision of the act, what the act says. Then you will have to write down as to the case, what the question asks you. And then the conclusion, as per the question and as per the act, if you combine, this is what is to be done. Right? That is the way of writing the answer. And if you know any case study based on the same, you could refer to that case study too. So in this case, you had a case study to refer to, that is the case study of B.R. Kundra versus the Motion Picture Association. Right? You could refer to this case study when you're writing this answer. And in CA final May 2010, again you had been asked a similar question. Right, which the question was a little different, but you actually had to answer the same thing that you had to answer in the May 2003, right? And again the question was based on the deemed reappointment and what are the situations. You will again have to write the same thing as we have already discussed, right? And then in CA final May 2011, that was the first time when you were asked a question that would refer to the entire section, right, to the entire provision. So in that, the section was divided into 4 parts, as per which you had to give an answer for all the parts, right? And the first part asked you which of the directors shall be retiring by rotation and are eligible for re-election. The second question asked you about the directors who were appointed on the same day. Like if there were 4 directors appointed on the same day and 2 are liable to retirement, then how do you decide as to who would retire? Right? So we know that in this case, we need to decide by way of an agreement between them, and in absence of any agreement, we would decide it by draw of lot method. Right? The third part of it was that in case of the meeting could not be decided, how the vacancies caused by retirement or retiring director is to be dealt and what shall be the consequence. So if it is not decided in that meeting, the meeting would be adjourned, and if it is not decided in the adjourned meeting and it is not expressly provided as not to fill up the vacancy, the retiring director would be reappointed. And what will be your answer, assuming that the matter could not be decided even in the adjourned general meeting, right? So in the adjourned general meeting, again we have discussed already in the previous answer. So that is how you go about with the question. So now I hope the entire provision of section 152 subsection 6 and 7 is very clear with you. We have dealt with the various situations, we have dealt with the various questions, and also discussed the technicalities of how to answer the questions. Right? So if there is any confusion, you could go back to the previous lecture and refer to the entire provision. right? Unless and until you are clear with it, don't move ahead, because this is a very important topic and that could be re-asked in your upcoming examinations. And the questions are very simple and the provisions are same, and that could fetch you marks. You'll have to learn how to write the answers. So please, if you have your notebooks or refer to the institute website, you would get the past year questions. Look at them, look at the suggested answers, and then you will know how to write the answers, right? So we will keep the topic, we will keep the lecture limited to these discussions over here today, and we'll continue with the provision of the other sections in the continuing lecture. So until then, this is Abhinay Gupta signing off. Stay tuned.